I'm always confident because I trust my players. I trust the process. I trust that we have done enough to be able to win football matches. We just have to work on our in-house things to improve some individual errors that we commit sometimes. But generally, we're a team that is capable of winning football matches.
Coach, sibingelele coach, mhlambe ukureflecta kwigame edlule ophuma kuyo and nokwenza sure ukuthi abadlali mhlambe ba-recover ahead of this another challenging encounter against i-TS Galaxy. Sazi ukuthi uma sibheka ama-record kuma-cup games ijwayele ukuyinika i-arrows inkinga, sikhumbula na-Nedbank Cup uyayikhipha. Mhlambe lokho nje iprepare kanjani lo mdlalo?
No, man, we didn't have much turnaround time for anything. That's why we have a longer video analysis today to try and do our review of the previous match and also look at what TS Galaxy offers. I must say it's a very, very decent team offensively with a lot of speed from Mahlambi, Titijane, Mvelase or Zindonga. Very good on transitions. Those wingers score a lot of goals. Titijane and Mahlambi. And Velase is always a menace as a false nine. The three midfielders, Mbunjane, Matuna, or Keita, or Mkaka, will always pose a threat when you give them space and time, because they're a team that plays with a lot of verticality. Upon winning possession, they are looking for the space behind. And most of their goals are mainly goals that are scored on transition. So we are fully aware of that. But they're a team that also commits a lot of mistakes in certain areas on the pitch.
And emdlalweni wakho wokugcina coach, into esiyibona kakhulu ukuthi iqembu liyakora. Into wakhala kakhulu ngayo ukuthi ama-chances niyawacreate but mase niyakora. Mhlampe lokho kukunika i-motivation nelento ne-moral boost ukuthi manje seniyakwazi ukukora amagoli.
Yeah, man, it's encouraging when you score the kind of goals that we are scoring. I must say, these boys are scoring some very, very beautiful goals. And it's just unfortunate that we also concede very silly goals. And the previous match was the epitome of that, where we committed too many individual errors and we were punished from those errors. But I think our offensive play has improved in leaps and bounds. We just have to stay focused and understand that other teams are not also doing their own analysis. They can see how we are scoring and maybe try to have as many variations of scoring goals as we can. Happy with the fact that we are also scoring on set pieces, but I do believe we offensively are very potent. We just have to work a little bit harder in some of our defensive lapses, I would call that, because we lapse in things that we have done well in the same game, but suddenly you get punished from the same thing. But it's work in progress. We know we can't be matured in our football actions. It's still too early, considering the changes and everything that has happened in the past few months. But we are confident. The team has got capacity, and I fully understand that TS Galaxy has given Arrows a lot of grief in the past few years, and we always have a responsibility to turn things around. And I do think we've got a team that is capable of that, but only if we concentrate in making sure that where they are stronger, we are fully aware and we are proactive in trying to defend those situations, because we are fully aware of what they offer going forward, and we also fully aware of what frailties do they have defensively.
Coach, I've been asking the same question to Gavin Hunt and also Roy. Ronnie Gabriel yesterday, that not having the Sundowns and Kaizer Chiefs, the so-called big team in this competition, doesn't that give you salvation and some sort that there is a big chance to win the cup?
I never look at cup competitions in that space, because I always know cup competitions will always present surprises, and normally the big teams do not do as good as you would expect in the cup matches. It's Pirates recently, probably in the last 3 years, that have really dominated that space. But even then, they've also been found wanting in some of the cup competitions. So Cup competitions, you must just focus on the game that you are facing, regardless of who you are playing, and be a little bit more meticulous in looking at what do they do defensively, what do they do offensively, and try to come up with solutions and strategies to deal with that. But do not look at it as if it's a big or a small team, because cup competitions everywhere in the world are always a threat against the big teams.
Coach, Coach, you touched a little bit there on something very significant about the history between these two clubs. As a person that I know focuses on details, the Arrows hasn't beaten Galaxy in 9 games. I think it's around that stretches over 3-4 years. In terms of psyche, I don't know how much coach pays attention into a particular team having a bogey team as such. Is it something when you look at Galaxy that you think you probably have to deal with in your own change room ahead of this game?
Sometimes I don't know whether it's assertiveness or it's arrogance. I always want to focus on how a particular team has played against me, not necessarily against the team that I'm coaching at that point in time, because my focus is always on the opponent that I face in that particular match, no matter where I am, regardless of what has happened in the past, because history is always turned around in moments like those. And you are right that maybe they might be a hoodoo team against Arrows, but they have never been a hoodoo team against me. And I'm focusing on just seeing how best can I beat them and get into the next round. And I'm 100% sure they are not going to be an easy team. They are not a team that dies easily. They've got the fight. They've got players that run. Titejane is one of the most promising players in the league currently. Mahlambi is also doing exceptionally well. And we can never take that away. And Velase might be a very old player, but he's very dangerous and surprisingly also very strong in the air for his size. So we just have to focus on what is in front of us and leave what might have happened in the past, because in the past we don't know what exactly might have happened, but we will be able to tell a story about what happens now that we are dealing with them directly.
Umqeqeshi owaletha injabulo kwisifundazwe saKwaZulu-Natal ngenkomishi yemtheneti. Kungenzeka uphinde futhi injabulo ibe khona ngale nkomishi.
Kuhlezi kuyisifiso sami to win football matches, and I don't even focus on the final phase. I always focus on the game by game by game, and it would be nice if we win all our matches in the Carling, because that would ultimately mean we have won the cup. But I do not want to put pressure on my shoulders and on the team in looking at what happened in the past, because that was a different breed of players, and these ones also have their own responsibility to build their own legacy. And they can only do that if they focus on match after match, not necessarily focusing on the bigger picture, because you might not arrive at the end if you are focusing on the bigger picture. But each game at a time is always the best way to look at this thing.
Mhlambe coach umbuzo wodwa nje umqeqeshi kaningi ohleze egcizelela ukuthi iqembu ufisa lidlale indlela ethile yokudlala. Uma ubuka umsebenzi osuwenzile since ekufikeni kwakho kweGolden Arrows, mhlambe uhappy ngokwendlela osuhlanganise ngakhona selifikele la ufisa khona iqembu?
It would have been nice if you are answering that question, because I would really want to hear what is your feeling in terms of that.
But it's your project mqeqeshi, ngabuka ngendlela engibuka ngayo wena ke njengomnikazi weproject today.
Like I said in the earlier questions, that it's work in progress. We still make some elementary mistakes. We're still not yet where we are supposed to be, and it will be naive of me to think we have arrived, because the stats and the numbers are not suggesting that. But it's a promising project. It looks positive. We can just wait and see what happens maybe after 15 matches in the league. Then we will be able to assess the previous season versus this season, and looking at all the metrics, the goals, the possession, and all these other aspects of the game. Maybe from there we'll be able to dissect it and say, it's coming the right direction, or there's still a lot of work to be done.
Coach, maybe just one final one for you. You spoke about numbers and metrics, and I think one player that has those numbers for you this season is Squish. You've been around a lot of talented players. Coach, how high is the ceiling as Squish?
No, this boy is just a marvel for me in many ways, and that's why I said it earlier, and I looked like a fool when I said I think he's one of the players that should be looked at the national team, because it's talents like this that define our football in the country. When I look at him vis-a-vis the other players that might be in the national team or others that have gotten opportunities to go outside the country, I'm saying this boy deserves all that, because technically he is unbelievable. Physically, he will surprise you. He covers so much ground, high intensity runs, sprints, distance, everything. He will always give you that. And technically, he hardly makes a mistake. He is very clinical in front of goals, very clinical in his passing game. One of what used to be one of his major weaknesses last season was playing in between the lines. He was losing the ball easy under pressure of space, opponent, and time. But he has improved tremendously. He's receiving with a back foot and creating situations for us and scoring critical goals for us. Suggests that he is amongst the best talent that we have in the country at the moment.
Thank you, Coach.